Txdot Houston District. Before we begin tonight's presentation, I would ask that you please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. Today is Thursday, February the 21st, 2019, and the time is 6:30 p.m. On behalf of Txdot, I would like to thank you for your interest and participation in this public hearing. We would also like to thank the La Luna Ballroom for the use of this facility. I might add that the school down the road is under construction, that's why we weren't able to use it like we have in previous meetings. We would like to welcome and recognize the electeds tonight. Tonight we have Louise Hancock for Senator Robert Nichols. Would you mind standing, please? Right over here. Jason Millsap, representing Montgomery County Judge Mark Keogh, and he's back over here. And Commissioner James Mett is here tonight. Commissioner, where are you at? Right here. Okay, great, thank you. As you enter tonight, you were asked to sign in at one of our sign-in stations and receive an information handout. If you have not already done so, please sign in before you leave so that we may have a record of your participation here tonight. Exhibits illustrating the project limits, recommended improvements, and other project-specific information is on display around the room. These will be available until we adjourn tonight. Representatives from Txdot and the project study team are available to answer your questions. The public comment session will begin following the presentation. We will not answer questions during the presentation or public comment session, but we will be available to answer your questions in the exhibit area following the comment session. The official public hearing will adjourn after all verbal comments have been heard. Notices of the public hearing were advertised in the News Advocate, the La Voz, Spanish newspaper, the Houston Chronicle, the Conroe Courier, and the Txdot website. I would now like to introduce Ms. Wahida Wakil, Txdot project engineer, who will discuss the engineering for the proposed State Highway 105 improvement project.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. The proposed project limits along State Highway 105 are from 10th Street in Conroe to Business 105 near Cleveland, Texas. The project crosses Montgomery, San Jacinto, and Liberty counties, a distance of approximately 20 miles. The area surrounding the project limits has experienced rapid growth, and this growth is projected to continue. The existing two-lane roadway does not provide adequate capacity to accommodate the population growth or alleviate growing congestion. Furthermore, there is no dedicated space for turning and stopping vehicles, which causes delay and increases the potential for crashes. According to the Texas Department of Public Safety, there have been an increased number of serious and fatal crashes along the proposed project corridor. Specifically, there were 54 fatalities between 2003 and 2015. The purpose of the proposed improvements would be to improve safety, operational efficiency, and travel times along State Highway 105. By adding travel lanes and dedicated turning lanes, the proposed project would accommodate growth along State Highway 105 and improve safety. This slide illustrates the existing roadway layout. Within the project limits, State Highway 105 typically consists of two 12-foot wide travel lanes in each direction and 11-foot wide outside shoulders. There is no median or separation between the lanes of moving traffic. Txdot led 7 public meetings between 2003 and 2015 to gather input from the public and refine the project's alternatives. The proposed improvements being presented tonight are the result of public comments and local government input. The proposed project would reconstruct and widen the existing 2-lane undivided roadway to a 4-lane roadway and add a continuous center 2-way turn lane. The proposed project would also construct sidewalks and bicycle accommodations within the project limits. Approximately 75% of the proposed limits of the project would be converted to curb and gutter. with open ditches remaining towards the eastern end of the project. A total of approximately 45 acres of additional right-of-way would be required to implement the proposed project. The acquisition of additional right-of-way may result in the displacement of businesses and residences. Representatives from Txdot's right-of-way division are here tonight to answer questions you may have about the acquisition and relocation process. This slide illustrates the proposed roadway layout from 10th Street to Loop 336. State Highway 105 through this section would typically consist of 2 traffic lanes in each direction. Additionally, a continuous center two-way turn lane would be constructed for turning vehicles, eliminating the need for vehicles to block a moving lane of traffic while stopping and turning. A 6-foot wide sidewalk is shown here along the north and south sides of the roadway, separated from traffic by a curb. Finally, a curb and gutter system would be located along the north and south sides of State Highway 105. This slide illustrates the proposed roadway layout from Loop 336 to Lee Turner Road. State Highway 105 through this section would typically consist of 2 traffic lanes in each direction and a continuous center two-way turn lane. This section differs slightly from the previous section because bicycles would be accommodated within the wide outside shoulders. A curb and gutter system would be located along the north and south sides of State Highway 105. This slide illustrates the proposed roadway layout from Lee Turner Road to the end of the project at Business 105. The land directly adjacent to State Highway 105 within this section is less developed and more rural, so the configuration is slightly different than the previous sections. Typically, this section would consist of 2 traffic lanes in each direction, 12-foot wide outside shoulders, a continuous center two-way turn lane, and a 5-foot sidewalk. As shown here, the sidewalk is separated from the road by an open ditch. There is no curb and gutter system proposed within this section. Bicycles would be accommodated within the wide outside shoulders as in the previous section. The total project construction cost is estimated to be approximately $175 million. The proposed project is state and federally funded and would not be a tolled facility. The construction of the proposed project would be completed in segments, with construction of the first segment predicted to begin in 2021. This completes the engineering and design portion of the presentation. I would now like to introduce Mr. Rob Fishman, who will present the findings of the environmental studies.
Thank you, Wahida. I am Rob Fishman, the Jacobs Environmental Manager of Projects. Jacobs is a firm consulting on behalf of Txdot. As per the National Environmental Policy Act, an environmental assessment, or EA, was prepared for the proposed project. This EA document sets out and accomplish 4 objectives, which are to compare the build and no-build alternatives, to document the existing conditions to evaluate potential impacts, and to summarize coordination with the public and resource agencies. As part of the 3rd objective, to evaluate potential impacts, various natural, cultural, and social resources are evaluated for potential impacts as a result of the proposed project. The resources considered are shown here on the screen. I will briefly summarize some of the findings of the environmental assessment. However, the EA document is available here tonight if you wish to review in more detail. As previously stated, an additional 45 acres of right-of-way would be required for the proposed improvements, and a total of 25 potential displacements are anticipated: 6 residential properties, 14 active commercial properties, and 5 ancillary structures, which are defined as signs, sheds, and other types of outbuildings. Txdot's right-of-way staff are here to assist you should you have any questions regarding acquisition or relocation process. Since the proposed project would result in the placement of over half an acre of fill material into waters of the U.S., including wetlands, authorization from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers would be required. An individual permit application is being prepared for the proposed project and will be submitted to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Compensatory mitigation would be required as part of the individual permit for permanent impacts to waters of the U.S., including wetlands. Compensatory mitigation ensures that losses to waters of the U.S. result only in minimal adverse effects to the aquatic environment. Best management practices would be utilized to minimize impacts to waters of the U.S. and to comply with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality water quality certification requirements. Approximately 42 acres of the proposed project are located in the 100-year floodplain. However, the project would be designed in accordance with current Txdot and Federal Highway Administration design policies. Therefore, no impacts to the floodplain are anticipated. Vegetation would be disturbed during the construction of the proposed project. Vegetation best management practices would be followed to the extent practicable for the anticipated impacts resulting from the proposed project. Field investigations were conducted for migratory birds along the length of the proposed project. In the event that migratory birds are encountered on site during project construction, every effort would be made to avoid protected birds, active nests, eggs, and/or young. Threatened and endangered species investigations were conducted along the proposed project. 2 federal and state-listed endangered species, the Houston toad and the red cockaded woodpecker, were evaluated because of their potential to have appropriate habitat within the proposed project area. Although the Houston toad is identified in the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department's annotated county list, and for Liberty County, the species is considered extirpated from the project area. Subsequent coordination with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department confirmed that Liberty County is not currently in the known range of the Houston toad, and therefore this project would have no effect on that species. Txdot sought technical assistance on the red cockaded woodpecker from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service biologists were not aware of any red cockaded woodpeckers in the project area. Txdot biologists visited the project site in the spring of 2018 and determined the understory in the area of the trees was too thick to support suitable foraging habitat for the red cockaded woodpecker. Based on the 2018 observations, it was determined that this project will have no effect on the federally endangered red cockaded woodpecker. 2 service stations were identified as concerns with regards to underground storage tanks. Further investigation is recommended at these 2 locations. However, the depth of the proposed storm sewer is not known at this time. Therefore, Txdot will conduct further testing during final design when the impacts depths are known. Additional information can be seen in Hazardous Materials Technical Report 2018, which is on file at the Txdot Houston District Office. Of note, the Conroe Creosoting Company property abuts the existing and proposed right-of-way and was initially determined to be a high risk to the proposed project. The site is divided in 2 portions adjacent to SH 105, a cleared area and a wooded area with a lake detention pond. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's remedial project manager, the cleared area was the former processing plant for the creosote operation in the contaminated area. And the wooded area with the lake and detention pond in it is not a concern with regards to contamination. Approximately 1 acre of additional right-of-way is required from the wooded area of the site. Based on the current project design, the right-of-way requirements, and the defined nature of the site contamination, hazardous materials associated with the site would not be anticipated to impact the project activities. A traffic noise analysis was conducted along the length of the proposed project. A total of 2 noise barriers were found to be reasonable and feasible and are recommended for incorporation into the proposed project. The location of the 2 proposed barriers are shown on the schematic exhibits here tonight. It should be noted that installation of any noise barrier is dependent on detailed design and input from the adjacent property owners. Throughout the environmental process, Txdot has coordinated with local stakeholders, elected officials, and numerous resource agencies, including the entities listed on this slide, as well as the public and special interest groups. In the next steps of the environmental process, all comments received tonight, as well as written comments received during the comment period, will be included in the official public hearing record and will be addressed in the next phase of the environmental process. The comments received will be used to help finalize the build alternative. The environmental assessment and all related technical reports are available for public review at the Txdot Houston District Office and the Txdot Montgomery Area Office. In addition, should you wish to obtain a copy for your personal use, paper copies may be purchased for the cost of reproduction. Thank you, and I would like to hand the hearing back to Mr. Henry.
Thank you. At this time, we will move to the public comment portion of the hearing. There are several ways to comment on the proposed State Highway 105 improvement. You may present your comments here tonight for the court reporter. Speakers will be called in the order in which they signed up. If you would like to speak for the public record and have not filled out a speaker card, please raise your hand now and we'll pass out some pencils and cards. You may also submit your comments in writing. We have provided comment boxes if you choose to leave your completed comment form tonight. Your comment forms may also be mailed or sent electronically to the email address shown here. All comments must be submitted or postmarked by March 8th of 2019. Both written and verbal comments will be considered equally. If you submit your comments in writing, it is not necessary to repeat your comments verbally. For your convenience, all of this information is also noted in your handout. I would like to begin the public comment session by introducing our elected officials who wish to speak. Commissioner Mett, would you like to speak?
Yes, it's fine. I'm James Mett. I'm the county commissioner for Montgomery County here in Precinct 4, and also have with me Bill Smith. He's a projects coordinator for me at Precinct 4. I also glad to have Jason Millsaps. He's here for Montgomery County Judge Mark Keogh, who couldn't be here tonight, and I believe that Commissioner James Reeves is here from Liberty County as well. Was appreciative to have those gentlemen in attendance, and simply say thank you guys and God bless you for this tonight. It's been a long time coming. I've been in Montgomery County all of my life, from 62 years, and my family for many generations before me. And this project has been being needed for some time. The 54 or over 50 fatalities that was mentioned just earlier, I served as Justice of the Peace from 2003 up until December 31st of this past year, and I investigated most, if not all, of those fatality accidents here on 105. And anything that can be done to lessen the fatality accidents and the burden and the pain that causes upon the people here, the residents, I appreciate it. And I simply want to, on behalf of myself, I can't speak for the judge and Commissioner Reeves, but I know that they're on board with this project, and I can simply say Godspeed to you guys, and anything that my staff and I can do to help facilitate this, or any courtesy that we can extend to you to expedite this process, you can count on that from me. And God bless you. Appreciate your.
Other elected officials who would like to speak tonight? Now, I would like to provide an opportunity for those who have registered to speak on the proposed project. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. When I announce your name, please come to the microphone and clearly state your name and for whom you may represent. A timer located on the screen will indicate the beginning of your 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you will be asked to be seated so the next speaker can make his or her comment. If you have additional comments, please complete the written comment form provided to you. And now I would like to call the speakers on the speaker registration cards in the order in which they signed up. First, we'll have Scott Harlan, and he'll be followed by Rex Deck. Mr. Harlan.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Harden. I live in security. just here to represent my family and hopefully some of my fellow citizens. I just want to address a few concerns here. We all know there's growth out in this area, and it's going to continue to grow. I'm just curious as what the expected growth is within the next few years, explicitly or within the time frame of the construction of the road itself. I know that we have a lot of growth out west of us, south of us. I'm just curious of what kind of growth is anticipated in this area. And as far as implementation, everybody has their own concerns. I'm just wondering how we're going to, how it's going to be put into place and what the thought process is behind it. For example, when 105 was expanded, I'm curious as to why we had sections where it was 2 lanes going one direction and one going the other, instead of in a turn lane that's not being used other than a passing lane. And then instances like where we have a crosswalk where nobody crosses the road and no crosswalk where we should have one. That being said, I'm wondering what the purposes of sidewalk out in the country is. We have, or a bicycle lane, as you might say. We got maybe 4 or 5 people in this area that ride a bicycle. And so I'm wondering, is the amount of money that we're going to be spending this necessitate for a couple of people? Yes, we want safety out here, but do we need to spend that kind of money just for that couple, those few people? Not only that, but that's inviting people into our neighbors' yards, and basically their homes. And so it's a safety concern as well, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how many, I'm sure we're gonna have more red lights out here. I just don't know if you guys are gonna address that later on. But I'm just curious of how that's gonna affect, traffic. Lighting, we're gonna have lighting, we're gonna have sidewalks, things like that, we're gonna have lighting. I'm hoping you guys are taking the drainage into consideration, because I know on the side roads, we have a lot of the areas now that are in our specific area that need to be maintained and have not been in a while. And also, I guess the final thing is gonna be speed limit, what the fix that can be. Is it gonna speed up, slow down, stay safe? Thank you.
Thank you. Rex Stack, will be followed by Brian Leaha. Stack.
My name is Rex Delk. I'm with Sonic Drive-In. I've already put some of my comments in the box, but what I was wondering was, from this date on, why is it going to take another 2 years to even move some dirt? That seems like an extensive amount of time to get this project underway. It should have been started a long time ago.
Thank you. Brian Leaha, followed by Terry Lyman.
My name is Brian Lee. I'm representing the House Mexican Restaurant. I had a question regarding the easements. How far from the real property are we gonna have to our building? We're so close to it, and also, how much time are we gonna have? When are we gonna be given a notice? So if we had to relocate, so we'll be able to relocate.
We have a right-of-way table back there that could be able to answer most of your questions. Mr. Blanton, followed by Alexandra Dementes.
My name is Jerry Blanton. I want to thank you guys and ladies for coming and addressing us on this. I represent the Crockett Trades Homeowners Association. I'm the president of the Crockett Trades Homeowners Association. I'm also a business owner on 105. And my concern is, y'all have already communicated to us that you're going to be starting the section from 10th Street to 336 First. That doesn't help us out here, because I'm figuring if that sitting in line on 105 to go east and west. Some of the lights, there's nobody going north and south. We're sitting there. They need to get rid of the time lights on 105. The main thing is, y'all should really reconsider where you're gonna start this project, because I, like probably a lot of people in here, when we go to town, if we're even going to downtown, we go around the loop and come back in on Fraser and beat the people that are going on 105. Finish the loop on the west side and start your project out here, instead of us having to wait another at least 2 years or 4 years before you start this project out here. Help us now, not later.
My name is Alexander Pimenides. I live in the Conroe area, and I wanted to say that there's, speaking on some people on social media, there's a question about whether this project will actually begin, given the number of public hearings there were previously. So there's some concern about the veracity of this actually starting. Regarding the bicycle lane, I do actually support having a bicycle lane, because having that, some people don't necessarily have vehicles, and it would help them circulate instead of being put in danger by moving traffic. So I personally would support that. The final point is, to the prior gentleman's point, the southeast quadrant of Loop 336 is the only portion of the loop that is not 4 lanes yet. So those 2 lanes, this will resolve the 105 issue, some of that congestion, but then getting to 145, to I-45, we'd have exactly that congestion right at 105 and 336 if we were wanting to go through 105 to get to I-45. So I wanted to point that out, that this will resolve a lot of issues, but there's still a major bottleneck that's happening at rush hour in that portion for folks that are trying to get into the Woodlands or Houston. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a project to add 2 lanes to the loop, and we also have a project to add 2 lanes to State Highway 242, so we'll be pretty busy up here in a couple of years. Ronnie Lee, be followed by Cormani Stevenson. Mr. Lee?
Yes, my name is Ron Lee. I'm a business owner in Cut and Shoot. And I had a couple of questions. One is speed on these charts out here actually a permanent thing already set, the 3 limits that you have for this construction? And 2, future utilities, possibly water or sewer or something like that, is this project going to affect that upgrade later on, or does it need to be incorporated in it or something at one time?
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Kumari Stevenson. I represent myself and my family. My question is about the walkway or bikeway that we're going to have. Looks like from the loop to Lee Turner, it's going to be on the edge of the right-of-way, and I'm all for safety, but for businesses and homeowners, that's going to put people that are walking or on bicycles. We have a problem with people, transients walking 105, and that's going to put those people a lot closer to our front doors. And so instead of being worried about, raccoons and possums, we're going to be worried about people that could possibly be, in our area. So I would like to just make mention that it would be, I think it would be better if we had that on the other side of the ditch, out by the road, instead of out at the edge of the right-of-way. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank you for your comments, and thank you for coming out tonight. It's a very large crowd. We will now close the public hearing. It is exactly 7 o'clock p.m. and the hearing is adjourned. Please drive safe.